Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I got back two different PSA orders. One of these had 17 cards in it. I believe the other one had 24 cards. These are all going to be Connor Bedard cards. If my math is mathing correctly, 17, 24, that should be 41 cards in this video. And yeah, every one of these cards is going to be this 2023 OPG Connor Bedard rookie. A few different variations, but most of them are the base cards. So this order went pretty good in terms of grades. I got actually better grades than I expected. So I got the best outcome possible for that. But what really kind of screwed me with this one is that they delayed this order for like 3 weeks. It was like stuck in the final QA phase. And yeah, with Bedard's cards, like you need to get them and sell them immediately. So 3 weeks of waiting has just been brutal because the first I don't know what the first few PSA 10s of this probably went for over $500, and they were probably sitting at like 250, something like that for this card now. So the time sensitivity with these Bedards is just crazy. Like you need to sell ASAP with this guy's stuff because his prices are just way too high. That should go without saying. So I'll have some stats at the end of the video here. If anyone thinks Bedard is a good investment currently, yeah, I think you were mistaken. Good young player for sure. You can see good talent, but to me, it doesn't look at all like he's on Crosby or McDavid's level. And I will have some stats for that at the end, but we'll just stick to the cards for now. So yeah, PSA 10. This card, this is a good example of why you need to sell right now. The first sale of this was $3,000. It was an auction for over $3,000, which is just like that is who is buying that for $3,000? Jesus, get help, whoever bought that card. I think this one auctioned again for like 1,500. I'll probably get 1,000 or less for mine now, but yeah, that's why you need to get them back quickly and sell them because I don't know why people spend so much on the first few copies of like cards that aren't rare. Maybe they're just new, or I guess, and they don't know that they're gonna tank. But like, my lord, the people who spent like 6,000 on his Young Guns, the first few copies of it, like, what on earth are you thinking? That's just outrageous. Like, literally could not buy a worse investment. And if you just wanted to collect, you literally could have waited 2 weeks and got his PSA 10s for like $2,000. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, the only person that would make sense for if you're just like a Dubai prince and you just have like $1 billion and you do not care, you just want the card instantly. But besides that, like who the hell is spending $6,000 on a base Young Guns? So yeah, I got a lot of 10s on these, which was good. I got mostly 10s. Here's a blue one. This one, I think I had two of these and I thought they'd both get 9s. Just a little bit of chipping on it. Here's another 10. I think I'll lose money on the 9s. Like, yeah, I basically paid like maybe 120 Canadian average to get these cards if you include taxes and shipping and everything. I expect to get something around that for the PSA 9, so that when you subtract the fees. Oh yeah, that was the other thing that annoyed me. I paid the Value Plus, which was $30 US per card, to get it back faster because, like I said, you have to get these fast and sell them quickly. So that's why I was annoyed that it got stuck for like 3 weeks because I had a value bulk order, which was like $15 per card. That should have finished a month after this. That came back like a month before this. So yeah, that was kind of brutal. But thankfully, I got good grades because if they held it up and screwed me on the grades, that would have been. I mean, I probably would have still made money, but it would have just been very annoying. Here's a 9. It's just gonna be the same card the whole video. I mean, yeah, it's not numbered. It's a paper base card. Realistically, how much should this card be worth? Like, I don't know, $75 probably, but it's really hard to say. There's another, and another, and a lot of these. Like a lot of these copies weren't perfect. That's the thing. Like I could spot flaws on most of these. There's like little like surface snow issues on a lot of them, but it's one of those things where I know it's like within a 10 tolerance. But if you get like a really annoying grader, They might just give you a bunch of 9s. So here's another one of those yellows. Like, again, $3,000 for this. What sort of meth are people smoking? So this was a good one. I sent 3 of these rainbow copies and did pretty good. So this was a PSA 10. I thought, on the 3 copies I had, I thought one of them had a good chance for a 10. Thought one definitely would get a 9. And then one of them was kind of in between. So that's a pretty cool card there. That one is numbered to 350. So I ended up getting 2 10s. And the one that I thought would get a 9 did get the 9. So I did get, yeah, as far as the grades, I got pretty much as good as I could have hoped for. Pretty cool card. I like this photo, by the way, on this Marquee Rookie. This will be his OPG Platinum image for his, like, true rookie out of that set. I think this is probably even a nicer photo than his Young Guns photo, to be honest, because, like, it's more, like, he's just more centered in it, and then the background faces are, like, blurred out. Like, his Young Guns, you have, like, some goofy faces right behind him. Here's the PSA 9. I paid, like, $350 for these raw, so should do pretty good with those. Here's a 9 on the base. Here is another 9. 10. 9. Yeah, the other interesting thing, a mistake that I made with Bedard, which was an interesting learning lesson, but yeah, Slab Sharks has that really sick promo right now with 98% payouts for Connor Bedard cards. Random fact that, I mean, you probably wouldn't have guessed this, but that was actually my suggestion, the 98% thing, because I heard Karn on a podcast say he was going to do like 100% promo, and I was just like, hey man, do 98%, then you can save 2%, and you can just, like, you know, use the jersey number. It's kind of fun. So yeah, I pretty much cost everybody 2% by suggesting that, most likely. So yeah, hit the downvote for that. But anyways, I was going to send all of these to Slab Sharks, but what I realized is I sent my Young Guns to them, and I could sell on my own store and get like 92, 93% of the money, and I could sell a lot faster because I'd list it, you know, as soon as I get the grade, and then I can ship it out. Whereas if I send to them, it basically takes like an extra 10 days. And with the Young Guns, I figured I actually would have made more money if I sold it on my own store because the prices were falling so rapidly. So I'm probably going to sell like half of these on my store and send the other half to the Slab Sharks for the 98%. Here's a PSA 10. But yeah, 98% payout promo, that's awesome. I think that was just a really fun thing for, yeah, just fun thing, building up the hype. And probably a smart business move by Slab Sharks too, just getting a lot of people using them. So they'll lose some money in the short term, but long term, I think it was a pretty interesting idea. Mint 9. So I didn't get any 8s. And yeah, a few of these ones, like, I'm not going to look at all of them because, like, who cares? But some of them did have actual, like, corner dings that were, like, pretty noticeable. So, yeah, I thought there was a chance to have some 8s for sure. And I did the thing where I ordered them, like, put the worst copies in front. And I've heard some people do it the opposite way. Like, they'll put their best condition copies in the front of the orders. I just like the graders to see the flaws right away because there's always cards that I know deserve 10s, and I want them to, like, see those and see that they're in better condition than the ones that have obvious flaws, and, like, just make sure the ones that should get 10s get 10s. Because you'd hate to, like, put your best copy first and then you get some annoying grader gives it a 9, and then they're going to look at every card after that, and then they already gave the perfect one a 9. Like, what else are they going to do? They're just going to give 9s and 8s from that point. So that's kind of the logic I use for doing it, but who knows if it even makes any difference. But yeah, like I said, in this order I got pretty much the best grades I could have asked for. Another 10. Yeah, so without that 3-week holdup, I think I would have printed money on this, buying, grading, flipping these. Probably would have tripled my money. Now I'm thinking I should do pretty good still. Like make 2x my investment, but yeah, it's not gonna be quite as good. Also, with the young guns coming out too, like if I could have timed this where I could have got these all back before the series one, I think it would have did even better. But just wasn't quite enough time for that, unless I would have paid like express fees, which maybe it would have made sense. Pay $100 per card, but yeah, that would have been kind of risky. So just decided to go with this route. Another 10 there, another 10, and last one is a blue parallel 9. So as far as these color parallels, I think there's a yellow, which is more rare than this blue one. I think this blue is like the easiest one to get. And then there's a red one, which is actually quite rare. So it's blue, red, yellow. They're all kind of like color matches a little bit, just with all the colors on the Blackhawks logo. But I think that's it. Maybe there's like some numbered ones too, like pink ones. But then there's like some foily ones. There's like a green out of 33. It's a pretty interesting card, this OPG. The 1 of 1 is actually on auction right now, I think, at Golden. But yeah, that's the last card I have here. And I just want to go over a few stats for Bedard's rookie year just to put in perspective. Okay, so if you look at the kind of truly generational players, like who we know ended up being generational, to me, I don't like overvaluing the term generational. Like you'll hear some people say like, "Oh, Matthews, Draisaitl." I used to hear in 15 like people trying to say Eichel was generational. Like there's 2 generational players. No, like we gotta save some value for that word, not devalue it. So to me, the generational players are Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby, McDavid, and then you have like players who are very good players: Austin Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, like best players of their generation, but not quite generational. Now Bedard definitely as a prospect, he's a generational prospect. Whether he ends up being a generational talent, like the guys like Crosby, McDavid, Lemieux, Gretzky, that we need to wait and see. But as far as prospect wise, he had better stats than McDavid in juniors, and yeah, his junior stats are 100% legit. But if we look at their rookie seasons of these players, so let's start with Gretzky. Gretzky in his rookie year, as far as points per game, he had the highest points per game in the league at first. Now, for some reason, don't ask me why they did it this way, but Marcel Dion won the Art Ross that year, but Gretzky had the same amount of points and played less games. So how is that not the tiebreaker? Like, if you're trying to make a tiebreaker for most points, obviously the guy who played fewer games should win that tiebreaker. But I guess they use goals as a tiebreaker. That's just a random rant that made no sense. Gretzky should have won the Art Ross in his rookie year. Then you have Lemieux. Lemieux was ranked 9th in points per game in his rookie season. He had 100 points. Crosby was ranked 6th. What did Crosby have? 102 points in his rookie year. McDavid in his rookie year, he did play the fewest games of any of these guys, but he was ranked 3rd as far as his points per game. Now, why does it matter what the rank is? Well, that's literally telling you how good they were at producing relative to the rest of the league, which is a really important way to measure things, not just to look at pure point totals, because there's different eras and stuff. Like Gretzky's point totals playing in the 80s wouldn't make sense to compare that to McDavid in 2015 when that was a really low scoring year. So just seeing how well they produce relative to their peers, I think, is quite a good way to do things. It's not a perfect way because there can be different levels of talent at different times, but overall it's a decent way to measure things. So you have 1st for Gretzky, 9th for Lemieux, 6th for Crosby, 3rd for McDavid. So all of them within the top 10. And then for those same 4 players, the next season, Gretzky won the MVP and the Art Ross. Lemieux did not. He came 2nd in the MVP and 2nd in the Ross. But in Lemieux's defense, Wayne Gretzky literally scored 215 points that year. So nobody was going to win that Art Ross. That's just impossible to win. But he was 2nd. Then Crosby in his 2nd year won the MVP, won the Art Ross. McDavid in his 2nd year won the MVP and won the Art Ross. We have a bit of a pattern going. All those generational players, they were all top 10 producers right away, like instantly. And then the second season, they were essentially the best players in the league, or at least top 2 in Lemieux's case. Again, he had to go up against prime Gretzky, so no one's going to hold that against him. Now, What was Connor Bedard's rookie season points per game rank? He has 2 games left. They're against, I think, tough opponents, so this number will probably be around where he ends up at. But he's currently sitting 62nd as far as points per game in the league. So he's a top 60 producer on a per game basis. And as you can see, that's not really in the same ballpark as the other generational guys. If you take a look at a few other top talent, like first overall pick franchise type of guys, and compare where they ranked with their points per game, you have Stamkos, he was 161st in points per game. You have John Tavares, he was 104th in points per game. Austin Matthews in his rookie season was 28th in points per game, so he was a lot higher than Bedard. Eichel was 79th, so a little bit worse than Bedard. Nathan McKinnon was 53rd, a little bit better than Bedard. Even like a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he was 34th. So if you'd see those groups of players, I think clearly the 62 for Bedard, he fits more into that second tier of players. But at the same time, I think the Chicago Blackhawks were a worse team than any of the other talents had to play with. So is it still possible he's going to be on the level of like Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby, McDavid? Yes, it is still possible, but it's a horrible thing to bet on, especially with the card market, with how his prices are, because he's essentially being priced higher than McDavid. He's being priced way higher than Crosby. So for Bedard, like if you have his cards, you need him to be. I mean, you can do quick flips and stuff. I'm just saying, like if you're gonna buy and hold, you really need him to be like top 3 MVP in Art Ross next year right away. And to me, that's just really hard to imagine with Draisaitl, McKinnon, Kucherov, McDavid. Like, how is Bedard going to be ahead of those guys? Like, it's not impossible, but I feel like it's so unlikely. So, yeah, the point is, I'm selling these cards. You should not be bidding on any of these. I think these are all terrible investments. And the funny thing, too, with, like, Bedard, some of his prices, like, they literally, I don't think there's anything he could do to make his prices go back to that. Like, with his SP1 card that was selling, like, over 10,000 Canadian for PSA 10, or, like, the first few sales of his Young Guns for, like, $6,000. I think if Bedard came out next season and he scored 200 goals, so he became the first ever 200 goal scorer, and he scored 200 points, or 200 assists, 400 points, wins the Cup, has 75 points in the playoffs, whatever imaginary situation you want to assign, I literally think he could do that, and his Young Guns would never hit $6,000. It's just like impossible. Like there's too many of them, and there's not enough money in the market to make that ever work. So it just really shows like you cannot buy, when the hype is that out of control, you cannot buy average cards. Like it's just impossible. Now, some of his cards I think actually have a chance to do well. Like if you did want to take a shot on him, I think you'd have to buy his best cards though. I think they need to be rare and like very sought after cards to have any chance of being decent investments. So example, like his Young Guns Outburst Red. I think there was some sales for like 17K for some of those. To me, that card actually has a chance to hold value because that's such an awesome card. There's only 25 of them. If he ends up being really, really, like, if he's on the level of McDavid Crosby in a few years, that actually has a chance to be worth more than what it currently is worth, in my opinion. But, a Young Guns that's going to be like a pop 10,000, that card is just completely drawing dead to have any chance of holding those sort of values. And yeah, and besides his top end cards, like, high glosses, all those sort of cards, if you can get them, you'd have to pay up huge to get them. But like those ones actually are like, if I was going to try and invest in them, those are the sort of cards I would buy. But yeah, the other option would be you'd have to find a set that isn't highly regarded, but will be in the future. So McDavid, for example, he was tough to buy in his rookie year because the hype was so high. But if you bought like his OPG Platinum rookie autos, you did really well. So for Bedard, maybe he'll have some cards like that, some sets that come out that people don't love right away, but then become big, popular with the collectors like 5-6 years from now. We will see. But yeah, it's been an interesting thing observing all the hype. But my recommendation is just don't fall for the FOMO and just be patient. Like, if you want to own a card like this, just wait a year or two and you'll be able to get it almost certainly for a lot cheaper. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for the video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.